There's a kind of broader phenomenon across the industry of sort of things that, and I'm sure many of you have sort of had this experience yourselves, where sort of things that you've been working on for a long time, the world suddenly thinks you've hit this inflection point and considers you an overnight success. You're like, shit, I've been working on this for a long time, right? And I think Stripe is kind of a good example of this, where we wrote the first lines of code for Stripe in October of 2009. So a long time ago, right? It's 8 years this year. We launched it publicly in September 2011. But there was almost 2 years of us just writing code, by ourselves or over time with sort of a small group of people. And so depending on how you count, we're somewhere 5-6 years again post launch. But from our standpoint, that we've been working on this for quite a while now and sort of laying the foundations. And with things, again, like Atlas, which I guess we'll get to in a second, we've been sort of thinking about doing things like this for, again, soon it'll be for a decade, but sort of we're now reaching the scope and scale where we can kind of really go and execute on some of them.
What was that pain point that made you start the company? I mean, I remember at that time, PayPal was just horrific to deal with. Like every time I tried to get into my account, it didn't work.
Yep.
Every time we tried to accept money from people, it didn't work. And then everybody would tell me the same thing.
Yep.
Do you have a PayPal account? I have one. Oh, can I say, it's locked.
Right.
And I can't get anybody on the customer support line. And I have $2,000 in there, but I can't get into my, anybody have customer support problems with PayPal? Raise your hand. It's the whole audience just raised their hand. There was just like this they seem to have figured it out since, but there was this very dark period where nobody was running PayPal.
Right.
Was that what led you to have that opportunity to zip in there?
Well, look, I don't want to speak ill of any particular company.
That's my job.
But we heard from our friends and from people around us building companies and so on that some of the companies they worked with were occasionally suboptimal. But it's easy to kind of focus on PayPal, and I think that's actually obviously they're pretty large and established and so on, but it certainly was not just them. And that sort of when we look to just our friends, people we knew running companies and so on, most of them actually weren't building on PayPal, maybe perhaps in part for those reasons or others, or I don't know, but most of them weren't. Most of them were building on these legacy players, like they were working with banks, they were working with gateways, processors, sort of stuff like this, right? And they were sort of looking to buy sort of essentially a technology service from them, right? I mean, they wanted APIs for sort of turning credit card numbers or whatever the payment instrument was into money in their bank account, right? That's kind of the service they were looking to buy. But these companies, which were again providing an AWS-like service in terms of the core nature of it, they were not equipped to be AWS. They were not equipped to sort of provide flexible APIs or to to enable people to really iterate quickly with their software. And then the big structural thing, and I think a large part of sort of what's enabled Stripe's rise, is that they were very kind of geographically balkanized, right? There was one bank in the US, and they work with a different bank in the UK, a different bank, in continental Europe, and so on. And so that, from a company standpoint, you of course want to serve, as large an audience as possible, right? But the need then to go sort of market by market and country by country and sort of financial institution by financial institution, I mean, that's just like a massive and in most cases untenable pain in the ass, right?
Yeah.
Which then meant that people kind of weren't serving markets they should be. And so a large part of, I think, what enabled Stripe, back to your question, is that we're building kind of this universal global platform for, building an online business, right? And that again, these financial institutions, they were huge, but they were focused on particular markets, and that created a lot of the opportunity for us.
Hey everybody, I am so excited to tell you about a new partner we have here at This Week in Startups. This is an amazing one. It's called Wunder Capital with a U, W-U-N-D-E-R Capital. And what they are doing is they're helping you combat global climate change and make money at the same time. All right, here's how it works. They are an award-winning online investment platform that lets you invest in solar energy projects across these United States of America. And you can earn up to 8.5% annually. Do you know what your money's making right now in a savings account? Go take a look. It's not 8.5%. And this will diversify your portfolio, and it will curb pollution and combat global climate change, which if you're listening to this program, you have a very high IQ, you're a very refined individual, and you know that global climate change is a real issue. If you're listening to This Week in Startups, you're obviously not a dummy. Your investment goes directly into helping U.S. SMBs install solar panels. You know what SMBs are if you're listening to this program, small and medium-sized businesses. And those businesses will repay their loans to Wunder with a U, and you get monthly payments directed into your bank account, right? Direct deposit right in there. Best of all, Wonder Capital takes no fees for investing your money. Kind of screwing it up for me. I take 20%, 25% of what my LPs give me. I get a carry, but Wonder Capital takes no fees. They offset the CO2 emissions from almost 3 million pounds of coal burned. How amazing is that? I'm so proud that they're a sponsor of this program. They're supporting independent media, and they're going to help you make up to 8.5% a year. This is what the true fans of This Week in Startups need to do right now. Go create a free account at wondercapital.com/twist. Remember, that's with a U, WUNDER capital.com/twist, and you can do well and do good at the same time. I've heard of triple bottom line companies. This one feels like a quadruple bottom line company. Look at the U.S. small businesses here in the United States of America. We're going to make America great again. They're going to get loans for their solar. You're going to get an 8.5% return. The planet is going to get saved. And hey, Wonder is probably going to do pretty well too. Quadruple bottom line capitalism from Wonder Capital. Wondercapital.com/twist. And if you're a super fan of the show, say thank you at Wonder Capital for supporting at Jason and TWI Startups. Go ahead and do that on Twitter, and I will like it and retweet it. All right, let's get back to this amazing program.